I want to read from John 9. As he was passing by, he saw a blind man from birth. His disciples questioned him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Neither this man or his parents sinned. Jesus answered, and they came about so that God's works might be displayed in him. We must do the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. And after he said these things, he spit on the ground and made some mud from the saliva and spread on the mud on his eyes. Go, he told him, and wash in the pool of Siloam, which means sent. So he left and washed, came back, seeing, and his neighbors and those who formerly had seen him as a beggar said, Isn't this the man who sat begging? Some said, He's the one. No, others were saying, No, but he looks like him. He kept saying, I'm the one. Therefore they asked him, Then how were your eyes open? He answered, The man called Jesus made mud, spread it on my eyes, and told me, Go to Siloam and wash. When I went, I washed and received my sight. Where is he? They asked. I don't know, he said. Then they brought the man who used to be blind to the Pharisees. And the day Jesus made the mud and opened his eyes was a Sabbath. So again the Pharisees asked him how he received his sight. And he put mud on my eyes. He told them, I washed and now I could see. Therefore some of the Pharisees said, This man is not from God. He doesn't keep the Sabbath. But others were saying, How can a sinful man perform such signs? And there was division among them. Again they asked the blind man, What do you say about him since he opened your eyes? He's a prophet, he said. The Jews did not believe this about him, that he was blind and received sight, until they summoned the parents of the one who had received his sight. They asked him, Is this your son, the one who you say was born blind? How then does he now see? We know this is our son, and that he was born blind, his parents answered. But we do not know how he now sees, and we do not know who opened his eyes. Ask him, he's of age. He will speak for himself. And his parents said these things because they were afraid of the Jews, since the Jews had already agreed that if anyone confessed him as Messiah, he would be banned from the synagogue. This is why his parents said, He's of age. Ask him. So a second time they summoned the man who had been blind and told him, Give glory to God. We know that this man is a sinner. He answered, Whether or not he's a sinner, I don't know. One thing I do know is I was blind and now I could see. I already told you, he said. You didn't listen. Why do you want to hear it again? You don't want to become his disciples too, do you? They ridiculed him. You're that man's disciples, but we're Moses' disciples. We know that God had spoken to Moses, but this man, we do not know where he's from. This is an amazing thing, the man told them. You do not know where he's from, yet he opened my eyes. We know that God does not listen to sinners, but if anyone who is God-fearing and does his will, he listens to him. Okay? Throughout history, no one has ever heard of someone opening the eyes of a person born blind. If this man were not from God, he wouldn't be able to do anything. You were born entirely in sin, they replied. And are you trying to teach us? Then they threw him out. When Jesus heard they had thrown the man out, he found him and asked, Do you believe in the Son of Man? Who is he, sir, that I may believe in him? And he asked, and Jesus answered, You have seen him. In fact, he's the one speaking with you. I believe, Lord. And he said, and he worshipped him. And Jesus said, I came into this world for judgment, in order that those who do not see will see, and those who do see will become blind. And some of the Pharisees who were with him heard these things and asked him, We aren't blind too, are we? He said, If you were blind, Jesus told them, you wouldn't have sinned. But now that you say we see, your sin remains. I assure you, anyone who doesn't enter the sheep pen by the door, but climbs in some other way, is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. And the doorkeeper opens it for him, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by his name, and he leads them out. And when he has brought all his own outside, he goes ahead of them. The sheep follow him because they recognize his voice. They will never follow a stranger. Instead, they will run away from him because they don't recognize the voice of strangers. Jesus gave them this illustration, but they did not understand what he was telling them. The one.